Hey guys, welcome back to another Daily Hope Devo. Today we are in Psalms 81. You guys remember, it's kind of a throwback, but you guys remember the movie or movie/show, The Little Rascals? There's a character in that show, probably the most famous character. His name was Alfalfa. And if you remember the character Alfalfa, he had that one strand of hair that was always sticking up. And it seemed like no matter what he tried to do, every time he would try to flatten that strand of hair it would just stick right back up again. Well, Psalm 81, we read about the stubborn, wayward heart of the nation Israel. And in a lot of ways, they're kind of like that strand of hair that just keeps poking back up. It's like the default. Their default setting is for their hearts to be stubborn and wayward. And yet we see God's loving, tender patience come into play again and again and again as he just gently and lovingly corrects his child Israel, and it just brings them back on track. So this psalm, it's broken up into two main sections. So the first section, verses 1 through 7, are essentially, it's describing the beauty and the goodness and the wholeness of the life that God intends and desires for his people. Talks about the celebration of coming into his presence, singing and dancing and just gathering together. It's just this awesome, beautiful thing that the Lord welcomes us into. And then the second half of this psalm, verses 8 through 16, is about Israel's stubbornness and God's desire, his desire to love and to satisfy, to just satisfy them despite their waywardness. And so we see this praise, celebration, goodness of the life that God desires, and Israel's rejection of that life. God's heartbreak because of their decision, and yet his relentless pursuit of his people to continually and gently bring them into the goodness of the life that he offers. So I was reading this passage, and I see a lot of myself in this passage and in the nation of Israel. You know, I'd like to think that I'm quite different from the nation of Israel, but the reality is I look at my life over, the last 20 years or so that I've been faithfully walking with the Lord. Though I've always acknowledged God, there's definitely been seasons in my life where even though I know the goodness and the beauty and the fullness of the life that God desires for me, it's almost like my heart is just like Alfalfa's strand of hair, and it has this default setting where I just, without even thinking sometimes, I will pursue my own way. I will pursue things apart from the Lord. 15 years ago, it was, finding a wife, and I wanted to make that happen in my time and in a way of my choosing. 10 years ago, it was climbing up the corporate ladder and seeking after, comfortability and recognition and success. 5 years ago, shortly after I'd gotten married, it was, pursuing the things that made me happy instead of focusing on the things that made my wife happy. Last year, during an awful, pandemic, it was finding ways to meet my core needs in a season of isolation and loneliness. All the while, it's like God was there and is there in his infinite patience, just saying, hey, just come to me. I have everything that you need. Everything that you need can be found in me. I love verse 16 of this psalm. It says, it's the Lord, even after Israel rejects him, saying, just come to me. I would feed you with the finest wheat. I would satisfy you with honey from the rock. Man, during the times and the seasons where, I'm in that great place with the Lord, I'm in this healthy place with the Lord, I'm often reminded of his loving patience toward me. I see myself, like I mentioned, as that crazy alfalfa hair that's just, sprouting up, but all the while the Lord is there consistently, lovingly, patiently, and gently, kind of bringing my wayward heart back to him. And so as you're watching this Devo, my challenge and my encouragement is for all of us to just take inventory of our lives and look at how patient God has been with us. That despite our waywardness, the Lord has been faithful to continuously gently and lovingly bring us back to him, bring us back to his heart, and bring us back to the goodness, fullness, and beauty of a life that he has for us. Love you, church family. I'll see you soon.